I'm here today with Patrick Harkins, who is the author of next week's play, Sins of the Fathers. And I hope you're going to come and see it because it's terrific. Patrick, thank you for coming.
No problem.
Tell us a wee bit about the play.
Well, the play's set in the Spanish Civil War. It's a two-hander between a nationalist and a Republican poet who have a background that one of them doesn't know about. One's a prisoner, one's a prison guard, and there is a background story to their story, as I say, that one of them doesn't know. And through the play, the story will out, you know.
What was it that attracted you to that subject, the Spanish Civil War?
Spanish Civil Wars always attracted me for all sorts of different reasons. I mean, it was a prelude to the Second World War, and I'm fascinated by how the idea of fascism being singular as to the idea of socialism being plural, in so much as there was all sorts of different factions of the left, but there was only one of the right, and that was why the right will always win, in my opinion.
Because they show unity.
Because they have one leader, and they have one leader and one ideal, and the whole point of fascism is that there's no infighting between anybody because there is one leader.
There's no debate.
There's no debate about it at all. It's a great Basque philosopher says that, his name escapes me, that they will always win by the strength, but they will never convince, you know, which is a truth. But if you have 6 or 7 different factions trying to come together to fight one faction, you'll never beat them, you know, because you're disjointed, you're not.
Although ultimately in Spain, the Franco regime did crumble. It contained the seeds of its own destruction within it.
But it took 50 years.
It took 50 years.
It took 50 years, and it could still well be going on yet. You know, it's a fascinating subject in all sorts of levels. You know, it was a kind of, it was like, to me, it was like the Balkans, you know, and all the, what do you call it, the ethnic cleansing, right? But it was a sort of religious cleansing. It wasn't ethnic, it was religious, you know, and religious in one particular point, in so much as the Catholic Church
was sympathetic to the...
more than sympathetic.
Sided with Franco.
Because they thought it was a holy war against communism. And
but yet, years later, in Central America, the Catholic Church sided with the Sandinistas in Nicaragua and the revolutionary priests.
No, yes, but the hierarchy of the Catholic Church didn't.
No, they didn't.
There's a fantastic snippet of news somewhere, lying in a BBC floor somewhere, no doubt, of the last Pope, now blessed.
I remember giving a wigging to the Sandinista priest at the airport.
Priest with a straw hat.
Yes.
You know, when everybody was coming up and kissing his ring.
Yes.
And the wee Sandinista priest came up. He was out fighting in the jungle, not fighting, but giving support to the fighters in the jungle.
Yes.
And he bends down to kiss the Pope's ring.
Yes.
And the finger comes out.
That's right.
And he gives him big licks.
That's right.
And I was disgusted.
And that same priest who the Pope was taking off had written the Missa Campesina, which was the peasant mass. And years later, Dave Anderson and I translated it and used it in a play about Central America.
Well, I used it as a snippet. The BBC comedy unit were looking for wee snippets of comedy And I sent one in using that in the news, and when he took the finger out to give the wee Sandinista priest a wigging, I had them playing "What's the Matter You Ain't Got to No Respect" underneath it.
Good.
And that stuck in my mind all those years.
Going back to your own play, this is the second play you've done for Oran Mor.
Yes, indeed.
The first was Please Mister,
Yeah.
Also with David Hayman.
Yeah.
You obviously have a fertile relationship with David.
Well, David and I hadn't seen each other for years, and we met by chance when David was over in North doing his charity work for Spirit Aid, and the subject of having how long we'd known each other came up, and David says, but in that time we've never actually worked together. So I said, well, I'll write a play for your charity, you know, to raise money for your charity. And he said, well, we'll see if you can write then. I says, well, I can certainly write, but when I give you it, we'll see if you can act. So, and it went really well. And I'd been off work, I hadn't been writing professionally for a couple of years because of ill health. And it just gave me that wee bit of spark to do more work for the stage, which was basically new to me. I'd worked in television for 25 years. But never really done anything for the stage.
And you'd also done a lot of radio writing.
I did radio in the beginning. It was Patrick Rayner at BBC was my mentor. Radio was the hardest medium to write for, but the most rewarding. And actually, Patrick was so hard on me as a mentor because I needed it, that when I finally got it, how to write drama, I said to him, I'll get you back for that. And I wrote him a play where the principal character was profoundly deaf and couldn't speak. And he phoned me up and he says, it's for radio. I says, well, I told you I'd get you back. And so he did it.
Now you're writing for theatre. How are you finding that?
I'm loving it. I'm loving it, principally because it's been new to me. I can't work any longer to meet deadlines. I can't, I'm infirm, so I can't get to meetings. You know, when you have to be at a meeting, I can't be there. So I can't work as such. But if you're a writer, right, when I used to tutor, I used to say writing is not a talent, it's an affliction. It's something that you have to do, like scratching yourself, you know. So although I haven't been working for a couple of years, every morning when I get up, I sit down and I do my 6 hours or whatever my body will let me do at the computer, you know, because I'm a writer.
So let's look ahead. Things in the
Well,
pipeline?
looking ahead. I'm actually retired officially in July.
That was last year.
No, this July coming. So with the state the pension is in, I'm going to have to work.
Right.
So the idea is I want to get together 10 plays, including the 2 that I've done for Oran Mor. I want to do another 8. Then I want to have them printed, made into a book, published with the play, each of the 10 plays, and a story behind it, and a bit about the Oran Mor and yourself, and a play Pint.
Not ambitious, are you? 10 plays.
Well,
and you're talking about retiring.
Well, to me, retiring means coming back to work, but coming back to work in your own terms.
Right.
You know.
Well, I'm very glad you've come back to work and on your own terms, because I think next week's play is very exciting, and I encourage you to come and see it. And thank you very much, Patrick, for writing it.
Cheers, mate.